is the news feed at 6.
Tonight at 6, a student in Dallas is facing charges after shooting a classmate. How the district is responding to safety concerns following the altercation, and investigators seem to be closing in on the disappearance of 2 women in Oklahoma. Plus, new West 7th crime numbers have been released and they might not be what you think. Good evening and welcome to the Newsfeed at 6. I'm Victor Aldana.
And I'm John Patterson.
And John, are you enjoying the weather and cloudiness out there today?
No, it's a little too humid for me. Now, Lauren, are we going to be expecting a little more humidity here in the upcoming forecast?
You're absolutely correct. We are a little bit warmer, 82 degrees, cloudy skies throughout, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds, nothing too alarming. That 78% humidity, that's bringing in that precipitation that we're seeing later this weekend. Across the board, warm temperatures throughout, 82 Fort Worth, 82 Dallas, a little bit warmer out west in Abilene. The rest of today, those clouds will continue into the evening. 80 at 7 p.m. We're dropping down to 76, significantly cooler than that high of almost 90 today. Coming up, we'll look at those temperatures. Those temperatures will drop this weekend with that cold front, also those thunderstorms and that 70 forecast.
Thank you, Lauren. New at 6 o'clock, parent and student concerns continue to rise following a shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas. 17-year-old Jacarian Rhodes Ewing, who is being charged as an adult, is accused of shooting a classmate in the leg after altercation. According to a newly released affidavit, Rhodes Ewing, quote, intentionally and knowingly brought a Pink Lady .38 revolver to class, and witness, quoted in the affidavit, told Rhodes Ewing to leave the classroom and the building to, quote, prevent further harm to the victim and others. Rhodes Ewing is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and unlawful carrying of a weapon to a prohibited place.
And as we said, this has caused a lot of concern among Dallas parents and students, most notably regarding how the shooter got the gun past the metal detectors. Dallas ISD Board of Trustee member Maxie Johnson hosted a 2-hour town hall at New Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church. Concerned parents, students, alumni, and community leaders vented about the state of the school security at DISD. Officials were asked many questions like whether backpacks were searched properly and were metal detectors working properly the day of the shooting. Unfortunately, those questions were not answered. Dallas ISD does have a policy requiring clear or mesh backpacks for all students in grades K through 12. District officials have not said how the student got the gun into the building.
Happening tomorrow, TCC Board of Trustees will meet again where they will consider and approve a variety of items, including the purchase of approval of VitalScan PD bladder scanners and accessories for the vocational nursing program. The board will also consider and approve service authorization with Hofer Welker Architects for design services for the natatorium and envelope restoration at the South Campus. The public can and are encouraged to sign up for public comment to the board. The meeting will begin at 6 p.m. at the Trinity River campus.
2 bodies were found in Oklahoma after the suspicious disappearance of these 2 women, 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jillian Kelly. We told you about them now about 2 weeks ago, and now officials say bodies they found were in the rural area of Texas County, the same location where Butler and Kelly disappeared. Now, we do not know for sure whether the remains are Butler and Kelly's, but both bodies will be transferred to the medical examiner as part of the investigation. Also, 4 people have been arrested and charged with murder in connection to the disappearance, and as Sydney Batzlaff explains, there are still questions that need to be answered.
Again, because it is still an ongoing investigation, we cannot discuss that.
Details were few and far between. However, I obtained court records answering many questions surrounding the disappearance of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, who went missing 2 weeks ago while traveling from Hugoton to Texas County to pick up Butler's children. However, they never made it. Jillian Kelly was court-ordered to go with Butler. The affidavit confirms Veronica Butler was in a problematic custody battle dating back to 2019 with Tiffany Adams, a suspect in her kidnapping and death, who is also the mother of Butler's ex-husband. We've learned Tad Cullum is Adams' boyfriend. His sister spoke with me off camera defending him, saying, quote, he would never hurt a woman. There is also new developments about the Twombleys. OSBI interviewed their 16-year-old daughter, who is being identified as CW. She told investigators her mother told her Adams, Cullum herself, Cole and Paul Grice were involved in the deaths of Butler and Kelly. The Twombly's daughter also said all 5 were part of an anti-government religious group called God's Misfits. The day before Butler and Kelly went missing, the Twomblys told their daughter they were going on a mission and would not be home. The affidavit said Cora and Cole Twombly returned home on the day of the deaths around noon, telling their daughter to clean their truck, and according to the affidavit, they said they would not have to worry about Butler again. It also states the Twomblys blocked the road to divert Butler to where Adams, Colin, and Grice, who has not been arrested, were. I reached out to OSBI about Paul Grice. I was told there are, quote, no other suspects at this time. The car Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly were in was found abandoned here on this Texas County rural road. Now we're learning more about what the scene looked like. There was blood, Veronica's glasses, a broken hammer, and inside of Jillian Kelly's purse was a pistol magazine. However, no pistol was recovered. We also know about 8 miles from this road, a hole was dug, it was filled and covered back with hay. We know 2 bodies have been recovered and are awaiting identification. OSBI says there is no chance Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly are alive and offered condolences to both families. OSBI also says all the children are safe.
An update on that Dallas anesthesiologist accused of poisoning IV bags. Dr. Ronald Ortiz was found guilty of 4 counts of tampering with consumer products resulting in serious bodily injury, 1 count of tampering with a consumer product, and 5 counts of intentional adulteration of a drug. Prosecutors said, "We've shown you this surveillance video of Ortiz several times now with the IV bags and heard from 4 patients who say they experienced complications. Newly released surgical records show tests that found dangerous drugs present in both the patients themselves and their IV bags."
We have some new developments to talk about in that multi-vehicle crash involving Kansas City Chiefs receiver Rashid Rice and SMU's Teddy Knox. 2 victims are now suing for more than $10 million. Rice and Knox both turned themselves in last week after warrants were issued for their arrests. Both men immediately bonded out. Now police say Rice was going nearly 120 miles an hour in a Lamborghini, Knox nearly as fast behind the wheel of a Corvette. The sports cars were speeding up Central Expressway last month when police say they caused this crash and walked away. The driver and passenger and the Lexus are suing, claiming the crash caused internal bleeding, brain trauma, and disfigurement. Police say the passengers in Knox and Rice's cars will not be charged.
In Fort Worth, police are trying to calm fears about one of the city's most popular areas, West 7th, and they're using a bit of a bizarre story to prove their point. In 2022, Fort Worth police say a man took this Jaguar from bar to bar and bit someone as they were petting it. Police say this proves anything can happen on West 7th, and attention-grabbing stories like that hurt the area's reputation. But the numbers show that the perception is not always reality. New data shows West 7th and fewer violent crimes in the last year than the stockyards near South Side and downtown. From 2022 to 2023, the total number of crimes committed against people dropped 15%. Property crimes fell 19%. The city is still working to improve safety there as soon as next month. So-called ambassadors help visitors navigate and serve as extra eyes for police. Police will also install some retractable bollards to funnel traffic. This 42-year-old man is now facing multiple charges after a deadly semi-truck crash near Houston last week. Authorities on Monday announced aggravated assault charges with a deadly weapon against Clenard Parker. They say he was the driver of an 18-wheeler that crashed into a Washington County, Texas Department of Public Safety driver's license building on Friday.
He was being chased by a deputy, and then he ran into our building. We have several people that were injured, and one is deceased at this time.
A 78-year-old man was killed while 13 other people were injured. 2 of the victims are still hospitalized.
And leaders in one Austin school district are taking action to keep students safe while riding on their school buses. School board members in Hayes County voted on Monday to buy new buses equipped with seat belts. This comes after a school bus crash killed a 5-year-old boy last month. Abigail Velez has more.
While we can't go back in time and undo what's been done, we can come together to make our community a safer place for our kids moving forward.
The community asked and the school board listened. The Hayes Consolidated ISD Board of Trustees approved a new fleet of school buses fully equipped with seatbelts for every passenger. This follows a deadly crash involving one of its buses on March 22nd.
We don't know if a seatbelt would have made a difference in this accident.
5-year-old Tom Green Elementary pre-K student Ulises Rodriguez Montoya died in the crash. The bus in which he was riding in that day was an older model without seatbelts. In 2017, a state law took effect requiring school buses to have seatbelts.
So you can see in here, they have the seat belts for the big kids. Even the first couple of seats have seat belts for infants.
Tim Savoy is the communications director for Hayes CISD. He says funding isn't an issue in this matter. Timeliness is.
If we could go down to a dealership and buy some school buses tomorrow, we'd do it in a heartbeat. It's just that when you order school buses, there aren't very many manufacturers across the country to get them from, and so it takes time.
The new fleet of buses and upgrades to older models is expected to cost the district about $500,000, but Savoy says with bonds, grants, and general growth of the town, the cost is not the problem. Studies show it takes about 12 months after a purchase to receive a new bus.
Baby steps, yep.
Meanwhile, some Hayes CISD school bus drivers are raising their concerns to board members.
So what is going to make them wear the seatbelts?
Nicole Blakely and Caitlin Holden are district bus drivers. They say along with this approved plan, they want a disciplinary plan in place as well to make sure students actually wear their seatbelts.
And while I have been driving all of those kids consistently for the last 4 years and they know me, they still aren't going to listen to me, no matter what. If there's no policy that states that you need to wear them and there's no action against if you don't wear them, then all this money and time and effort and all of these community members that have come forth to speak, it will mean nothing.
The U.S. Senate heard testimony from a former Boeing employee. What this means for the popular plane manufacturer coming up. Plus, presidential debates coming into question this election cycle. We'll tell you why next.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Me the bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
How you doing? Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Thank you.
A place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back. A dozen of the nation's biggest news organizations are urging President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump to participate in televised debates ahead of the 2024 election. The open letter published this week was signed by a group of major broadcast cable and print outlets. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook joins us live with the latest on the presidential debate.
In the letter, the news organizations noted that general election debates have played a vital role in presidential elections of the past 50 years and urged the candidates to publicly commit to participating in general election debates before the November election. This comes as Trump's team is pushing for more debates and for the debates to start earlier, a big switch from their stance during the primary season. When former President Donald Trump's primary opponents called on him to debate,
Donald Trump should be on this stage.
Don't you think it's high time he get on a debate stage?
he refused, skipping all 5 Republican debates. But now Trump is urging President Joe Biden to join him on the debate stage soon.
We have an empty podium right here to my right. You know what that is? That's for Joe Biden. I'm trying to get him to debate.
In a letter, the Trump campaign wrote, while the Commission on Presidential Debates has already announced 3 presidential debates and a vice presidential debate to occur later this year, we are in favor of these debates beginning much earlier.
I think he wants to look like the tough guy who wants to debate, but he has a lot of flexibility to get out of it.
Biden has not publicly committed to debating Trump, but he hasn't ruled it out either, telling reporters this last month.
Mr. President, will you commit to a debate with former President Trump? It depends on his behavior.
The first presidential debate is slated to take place in San Marcos, Texas on September 16th. That's 50 days before Election Day. The current schedule has the debate slated to take place earlier than in recent past. In 2020, the first debate between Trump and Biden took place just 35 days before Election Day. And in 2016, Trump and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton met on the debate stage 43 days before the election. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
All right, thank you, Julia. A whistleblower who raised concerns with Boeing's protocols testified before federal lawmakers Wednesday. Engineer Sam Salaper alleges the company took shortcuts when it made its 777 and 787 Dreamliner jets. He went so far as to say that America's premier airline manufacturer is, quote, putting out defective airplanes. Salaper says crews assembling the plane failed to properly fill tiny gaps when joining separately manufactured parts of the fuselage.
I found gaps exceeding the specification that were not properly addressed 98.7% of the time. I want to repeat that. 98.7% of the time, the gaps that they were supposed to be shimmed, they were not shimmed.
Wednesday's hearing of the Senate Homeland Security Subcommittee examined what was described as, quote, Boeing's broken safety culture. Boeing has countered Salaper's allegations about the 787, saying the claims about the structural integrity of the 787 are inaccurate. The Federal Aviation Administration is also investigating.
A trio of new investigations is now underway to see who may be responsible for the deadly Baltimore Bridge collapse. This, as 2 of the victims' bodies are still missing. Cole Higgins reports.
Our state has been grieving for 3 weeks. But for these families, I know it has felt like an eternity.
3 weeks after a massive cargo ship struck Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, authorities confirmed the body of a 4th victim has been recovered. 6 construction workers who were working on the bridge at the time of the collapse plunged into the Patapsco River and died. 2 of their bodies are still missing.
They were living the American dream, fixing America's infrastructure. Out there just filling potholes, not knowing it was going to be their last day.
Attorneys for the families of 2 of the victims and 1 survivor announcing they are conducting their own investigation into the bridge collision. The state of Maryland still reeling from the collapse, working to clear the channel and open vessel traffic to the port.
We have moved around 1,100 tons of steel. That 1,100 tons of steel is 5 times the weight of the Statue of Liberty.
Meanwhile, the FBI confirms the agency, along with the Coast Guard, has launched a criminal investigation into the bridge collapse, telling us, quote, the FBI is present aboard the cargo ship Dolly, conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity. The city of Baltimore also looking into who may be to blame for destroying the bridge that 30,000 Marylanders relied on every day.
Anything that we can do to help Baltimore recover from that tragedy.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
The Supreme Court heard arguments yesterday from a former Pennsylvania police officer who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Joseph Fisher's case could potentially undermine federal charges against hundreds of rioters. The High Court's decision could also have significant ramifications for the former President Trump. That's because he was charged with the same criminal offense. The alleged crime in question, violating a 2002 federal law that prohibits people from obstructing an official proceeding. If proven, it could add up to 20 years to someone's prison sentence. The Supreme Court will consider whether the interpretation of the law by prosecutors can be used against the rioters and whether the convictions already secured will stick. Coming up next, the feds believe North Texas water companies were hacked by the Russian government. Keep it here, and we'll be back.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Me the bed, see you in the morning with the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it, and we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
How you doing? Hey, Mason.
Mason.
Thank you.
A place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
A Russia-linked hacking group is suspected of carrying out a cyber attack on a Texas water facility in January. The hack caused a water tank to overflow for about 45 minutes in the small town of Muleshoe. Officials eventually took the machine offline and switched it to manual operations. The attack also coincided with 2 other North Texas towns detecting suspicious cyber activity on their networks. The string of incidents did not affect drinking water in the towns. Experts from Mandates say those who claimed responsibility have been linked to previous hacking activity carried out by a notorious unit of Russia's military intelligence agency.
McKinney is now one step closer to that state-of-the-art music venue. The city approved a development agreement to build a Sunset Amphitheater at Highways 121 and 75. The $220 million project is expected to bring more than 1,300 jobs. The entertainment group notes Lives hopes to break ground later this year. Let's see what the weather brings for the next 7 days.
That's right,
See what
Lauren.
Lauren has for us. Lauren, go ahead.
That's right. Right now, we're at 82 degrees, cloudy skies throughout, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds. That's 78% humidity. That's keeping those temperatures warm before that cool front we'll notice this weekend. Across the Metroplex, you'll notice pretty consistent temperatures. 82 Fort Worth, 82 Dallas. Out west, a little bit warmer at 90 in Abilene. The rest of today, those clouds will continue. We'll hit 80 degrees at 7 p.m., 79 at 8. We'll drop down to 76 at 10. Now, that's a little bit cooler, but it's still much warmer than the regular temperatures in spring in Texas. Wednesday night up north, you'll notice more severe temperatures. Detroit, Indianapolis, Columbus, you'll see that precipitation Wednesday evening before it continues to head down south. Texas, you won't see really the severe storms until Thursday. Dallas, you'll get the severest of that precipitation, about a level 2 as of right now. Possibilities of high winds, possibilities of hail. Anytime those systems roll in Texas, there's a chance. Tomorrow, you'll see a 50% chance of rain. 50% of y'all may see light showers, high of 88. 69 on Friday, 65 on Saturday. That's when we're going to be introduced to that cool front with that precipitation. Looking at the next 7 days, you'll notice, again, the temperatures drop this weekend. 65 on Saturday, 62 on Sunday, before it continues to rise Monday through Wednesday, hitting 80 degrees.
Thank you, Lauren. If you were hoping interest rates would be coming down soon, you may be out of luck. We'll tell you why coming up in 2 minutes.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
How you doing? Hey, Mason.
Mason.
Thank you.
A place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
If you were hoping interest rates would be coming down soon, you may be out of luck. That's what Fed Chair Jerome Powell indicated while speaking at the Wilson Center on Tuesday. So what does that mean for the economy and borrowers? Jen Sullivan breaks it down in today's Consumer Watch.
It appears interest rates won't be coming down anytime soon. For months, Federal Reserve officials have said they need convincing data showing inflation is coming down before feeling comfortable cutting interest rates.
We'll need greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2% before it would be appropriate to ease policy.
But inflation isn't near 2%. According to the latest data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released last week, the Consumer Price Index rose 3.5% in the last year. The report also shows prices for a variety of categories have gone up in the last 12 months. Everything from car insurance to baby food to rent.
The recent data have clearly not given us greater confidence and instead indicate that it's likely to take longer than expected to achieve that confidence.
Mortgage rates continue to rise as well. The average 30-year fixed mortgage rate jumped to 6.88% in the week ending April 11th, up from 6.82% the previous week, according to Freddie Mac. All of that means higher costs for households. When it's more expensive to borrow, experts say consumers have less money to pour into the economy. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
People in Boston are taking a stand against canine cancer.
How this is connected to a beloved symbol of the Boston Marathon, next.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Golden Retriever owners took a stand against canine cancer ahead of Monday's Boston Marathon. Dozens of Golden Retrievers and their owners gathered for a meetup at Boston Common in honor of Spencer. Spencer, the official Boston Marathon dog, died of cancer last year. Spencer became a symbol of the race for holding a flag reading Boston Strong along the route for 9 years, greeting thousands of passing runners.
Sunday's meetup included a Golden Strong walk and meet and greet with Boston Marathon runners. Golden Strong bandanas for dogs were sold at the meeting, with 20% of the proceeds going to a canine cancer research organization. Man, they should really bring that Boston Marathon down here to Texas. I love me some dogs.
Yes.
Well, this has been the News Feed. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Patterson.
I'm Victor, and we'll see you Friday. Enjoy your evening.